Gothel, page 149. It starts with, "Of course she didn't." Of course she didn't travel 2 days to the town on the sea that had the shells that produced the special shining white pigment Rapunzel wanted, but she didn't know someone less than a third of the way there who often shocked the white paint and sold it on the traveling merchants. He had it, and she paid for it, and Gothel was back at the town, or exactly when she told Rapunzel she would be there, with a quick stop of the sun-dropped flower for a youthful touch-up. Mother Gothel was in a great mood. She had 3 bids already, all of which were over 50 gold coins. She would be set for life, even if the bidding ended soon. But if truth be told, it wasn't the money she really wanted, insofar as she wanted anything besides eternal youth. What she really enjoyed was meddling with the nobles and having them trust her. She loved being on the inside of the scrabbles and determined the fate of this village or the burning of that village. Only one person would win the auction, true, but the rest would lose, and having missed out on the chance for such a magical wife or servant, they would feel they needed something else, something just as good or better. It would become an arms race, and oh, maybe Gothel had something else up her sleeve, or would find something. "Rapunzel, let down your hair," she called out. She was feeling generous. 2 days was more than enough time for a teen to get over her sulk, and there was the paint, and Gothel herself had almost giddy from her shenanigans. She didn't even mind that it was taking Rapunzel more than a minute to get to the window. "Rapunzel, I'm waiting," she yelled. Still nothing. "I'm growing old here, all right. Not really, not a gray hair yet, but you get the idea. Rapunzel," she snapped, her mood switching by the end of the sentence. Even if Rapunzel was in the garden robe, she could shout, mention that she would be right there. "I've been traveling constantly, and Mummy is exhausted. Let me up." The girl wasn't sulking, was she? A forest cricket decided to chirp after a moment, as if on purpose to draw the line under the area obvious silence. "Rapunzel!" Gothel screamed. "Now, come here." Not once did it occur to her that there might be anything wrong with Rapunzel, even though damaged goods might affect her auction. Rapunzel was 19 and healthy, and she was none of the sorts that fits hemophilia and often afflicted from those noble birth, and her monthly buds were not unduly painful. Gothel didn't even have a moment of panic that her daughter might have slipped on the overly polished floors and knocked herself out, or accidentally stabbed herself with a chef's knife, or been poisoned by a rare but not unheard of fungus that grew on wheat and caused those who consumed it to dance themselves to death. No, Gothel thought none of these things, only she, Mother, was being kept waiting, probably for some selfish or stupid reason, of her useless little ward. "Rapunzel, you have until the end of the deep, calming breath I'm about to take to show yourself or answer." Gothel took a breath, but poorly. If anyone had been around to notice, through her mouth and quickly making more noise than actually letting in air. "I'm going to count to 6, she shouted. "If you're napping, that should be more than enough time for you to rouse your pretty little head and come help your mama. 1. She put her hands on her hips. The basket in her elbow swung back and forth. 2. She angrily strode forward a step, face till upturned facing the window. 3. She stepped back again, still trying to get a view into the window. 4. She ground her teeth. 6. All right, you leave me no choice, she growled. Gothel had hoped that this day would never come, the day she might need to use the secret stairway. Years ago, she prepared all sorts of excuses and stories for just such an emergency, most of which relied on her generally spooky, vaguely magical deportment to authenticate them. She could imply that she had turned into a crow and flown up there, or that pixies had spirited her through the air, or that her spirit had called directly to the tower because she had sensed trouble, all of which depended, of course, on her somehow getting out of the secret room and into the living area unseen. Messy, unpredictable. Gothel hated things like that. She strode around the tower angrily to the door, and what she then saw caused her face to go literally white with rage, her mouth working unspeakable amends. A jacket, a man's jacket. It was the spy's. She picked it up gingerly as if it was covered in filth. It was not. And it was well made, if simple, and spoke of a sleek build. A young man's coat. Clues began to assemble themselves, perhaps incorrectly in her mind. The conclusion based on them was obvious and inevitable. With a cold fury, Gothel unlocked the door, threw it open, and clambered methodically to the top of the tower, not stopping once to catch her breath. Now she no longer cared if Rapunzel found out how she got up. When she caught the little hussy and her man friend, they would both know her wrath. Upset her plans, would they? Despoil the girl she had been raising and carefully for 19 years, isolated and protected from everyone, destroy everything moments before her long-set machines came to fruition. She would kill him. As for Rapunzel, show yourself, she shrieked, bursting out of the secret compartment behind the armory. In her right hand she grasped a black dagger, evil-looking and strangely curved. Obviously, she could never best a young man in a straight-up fight. She didn't really have magical powers that could aid her, or spirits that would be her bidding. What she did have was a tiny bottle of poison, so strong that a single drop would paralyze an opponent for hours. More than enough time to finish him off. The poison had cost her dearly. The vicious, milky liquid was an extract from some frog in the deepest sun countries. It had already served her well twice before. She knew it would work. She stormed out of the secret room and into the tower proper seedling. Her hair was wild, her clothes blown all about her, her cloak tangled in a bit of Rapunzel's hanging garbage, and she pulled hard, ripping the constellation of mica and papier-mâché off the ceiling, pebbles and planets and skittering along the floor, sounding like mice. Gothel roared in frustration. She was terrifying a lioness protecting her cub. All right, not exactly. But in the end, it didn't matter. There was nothing. No amorous couple, no Rapunzel, no prince, not even a random circus looky-loo. Rapunzel! She screamed. But no one answered. She was gone.